Restaurant that you may have seen here in the Atlanta area, maybe you've been before, in Cabbagetown. It's the Agave restaurant, and they say they're closing because of high prices and other factors that's just making things really difficult. Rob DiRienzo out joining us live, getting the updates on this story. Rob, I feel like I see a lot of discussion about this on social media, people sad to see them go, and it's not just Agave that's feeling the squeeze in all this.
Hey, that's right, Ariel. Good afternoon to you. That's right. Agave is up the road. We're here at Daddy D'z BBQ, sort of a staple here in downtown Atlanta. Well, they just announced that they're closing their doors at this location, but for a slightly different reason. They say that the landlord here is looking to sell this property, but they say they are also feeling the pinch. But I want to show you what it's looking like. You can see these guys loading up the fire pit. It is seen a pretty steady crowd all day. Now, a lot of these restaurants are saying the big reason here is the economy. Here at Daddy D'z, again, they say that's a factor, but the main reason is the business owners selling. Now, the owners up the road at Agave, as you mentioned, up the road in Cabbagetown, say their last day will be on January 31st, and they cite, quote, current economic climate and unsustainable conditions. Now, Daddy D'z owner Christiana Coker-Jackson says their main reason is the landlord selling the property, but they've also been feeling this economic pinch. Listen.
Every restaurant knows, I don't care if it's a big chain or a small chain, you know, the beef prices, for example. I was paying $2.84 for a pound of brisket, and now it's $4.99, $5.50, anywhere in there. And at one point it was $7, you know, so we do feel the strain. We do feel the economic impact from things like that. You know, there's no way we can't. You know, when oil prices go up, it affects plasticware, you know, plastic bags.
And Ariel, as you mentioned, this is not the only two restaurants, even throughout Atlanta, that are closing their doors with the new year coming. On Saturday, Dantanna's in Buckhead said goodbye after 2 decades. Now, on December 20th, Alma Cochina's Buckhead location will also close after 6 years. And that will also be the last day for Eats on Ponce after more than 30 years, which, again, is just an Atlanta institution. And back out here live, you can see I'm dying for Daddy D'z, the barbecue joint, over here on the corner of MLK and Memorial Drive. There is so much history and so many stories behind these walls. So there's a lot of bittersweet feelings throughout Atlanta, especially the people who have been going to these restaurants seemingly for decades. Now, coming up tonight at 5, I'm talking to an Emory University marketing professor that talks a little more about the trend that we're seeing both here in Atlanta and across the country. So be sure to join us for that, Ariel.
Yeah, Rob, you know, I think you mentioned some restaurants. I was just thinking off the top of my head, like Dantanna's. You know, there were others that were coming to mind. Like, wow, there really are a lot of restaurants that are closing. And for so many people, this is where you might have, you know, work trips. Maybe you gather. It's a neighborhood spot like Daddy D'z, you know, with friends and family. Definitely sad to see them go. But I am really curious, and I think a lot of others are too, just, you know, is there one single overarching factor here, or is it a bunch of little things contributing? It does kind of seem like maybe like the economic outlook. People are making different decisions, from landlords to the businesses that are deciding how to stay in business. So maybe you'll learn more about that from the marketing professor. But do you think there's any one factor, or is it more like a few different things that's just causing an environment?
Well, it seems like the economy is a factor in each of these businesses' decisions. Again, Eats on Ponce mentioned something similar. This is really all about, it seems like, costs, labor costs. Again, you heard costs of beef in that soundbite. So all of this is just kind of these straws that slowly break the camel's back, so to speak. Especially, I was speaking with that Emory University professor earlier. She mentioned that, you know, COVID was really a litmus test for so many of these restaurants, and a lot of them didn't fully recover after COVID. A lot of them have been hanging on by a thread, as a lot of consumers' habits have changed. A lot more people work from home now. A lot of other people just prefer to get DoorDash, don't prefer to go and sit down at an old mom and pop restaurant like they used to before the pandemic. So it seems like it's culminating factors. Again, here, the landlord, their desire to, with this hot piece of Atlanta real estate, that's a factor here at Daddy D'z, but it seems like across the board, just the cost of doing business is getting to be prohibitive for some of these business owners.
Rob, thanks so much for giving us this overview, making it make sense and breaking it down. You know, cost of beef, we actually were talking about that in the beginning of our hour. The president's put together an advisory panel to figure out how they can bring beef prices down. So, you know, it's not just here in Atlanta, everyone's feeling it. Rob, thank you. I appreciate our conversations.